pagers were delivered to Lebanon, to the Hezbollah. Israeli agents planted little bombs and a clock, a timer, not a clock. So at the same moment, pagers went off all over Lebanon. About 12 people were killed. And why is that important? I mean, besides the human element, why is it important that the pagers were there? What are the pagers doing for Hezbollah? Why do they need it? Why do they need it?
I have my hand raised.
Okay, Donna, why do they need
I
it?
think because of intelligence, location, where they're at, and to keep everybody safe and get rid of the sorry Hamas.
Well, it isn't that exactly.
Oh,
After a year ago, on October 7th, Hezbollah cut off all electronic communications with its leading members. And instead of cell phones, they gave everybody pagers. So the pagers were used to link the Hezbollah community. And what the pager explosions did, they were not designed for the thousands were injured. But it was not designed as, a battlefield. It was designed, to destroy the links that Hezbollah uses to hold its people together. They can't communicate without the pagers. They won't communicate with cell phones, which everyone knows everywhere in the world, cell phones are breached. People can get in and find out what's happening. And then you heard what happened today. Today, about 20 walkie-talkies belonging to Hezbollah exploded at the same time. Excuse me. Hi, Shosh, I'm teaching. I can't grab it, Mother too. That's called getting rid of your daughter. So
we love you, Rabbi.
So what happens is that Hezbollah has been infiltrated, is publicly embarrassed. The Mossad and the Israel Secret Service has been getting worldwide praise. And then two more things happened. As the explosions went off, local photographers, people with cell phones, were taking pictures and posting pictures of the explosions. That went on the internet, and Israel is now exploring all of those pictures to get pictures finally of Hezbollah leadership. How about that for weird? Really weird. Okay? And the second thing, it's such a public embarrassment that everyone expects Hezbollah to retaliate. You know, the old lex talionis in the Torah, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Revenge is still a big game in the Middle East. So all this is over, and now we're waiting, as usual, for a major attack on Israel from Hezbollah and Iranian-backed allies. that's all I have on that, though. It's really it's kind of was amazing. But any questions you have or thoughts or reactions to this? Dono, please. What?
Rabbi, it's in the Torah, and you're a rabbi. There's so many times in history that I don't know. I have sent angels to, like the desert storm, the wind blew the off the landmine so the soldiers could see
Okay,
them. I have a question. I
we
have a
can't,
question.
Donna, we can't go there. We're dealing
Okay.
with the
I
subject.
know. I pray
Harvey,
for safety. I pray for
Harvey,
safety. I pray for safety.
Yeah. Uh, I think Hezbollah may be planning another attack, but I don't know how they're going to communicate it. They got a problem. It might take them a while, I would think.
what did they do in what? Was it World War One that they used carrier pigeons? Was it World War One?
Yes.
And
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, they brought messages back and forth over the front. I remember that standing there in the trenches watching. No, but anyway, they use that. So yeah, they're going to have trouble. They're going to have trouble, Harv. But if what they're going to do is start another major rocket assault, maybe they don't need pagers that much.
God forbid.
So it's an issue. We don't know. Okay, Steve Miller.
This is not directly on point, but related. Finally, a vast majority of Gazans are no longer happy that the attack of October 7th happened. Support by the PA is still high. Of course, they're not getting the ramifications, but even support in the West Bank is down. So hopefully all of that is helpful and will cause Hamas to maybe consider real bargaining.
Okay.
Right on.
We're dealing with hypotheticals, so I could say hypothetically, I don't believe it. Hypothetically, if Hamas is carrying out a reign of terror, that's how we know. That's how they exercise control, a reign of terror. Hamas has no concern for civilian casualties, their civilian casualties.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure it'll work that way. Maybe it'll work that way. I want you to be right on this, Steve, okay?
I'm skeptical, but it's a step in the right direction that people are at least backing off their support from the people they elected.
Elected? Yeah.
Originally, they were elected.
Okay, Seth?
Yeah, I've been thinking about the timing of this, and I was thinking if I were Israel and I had this capability, I would ideally want to use it at a time like right before I'm about to invade Lebanon, say. Like if we were going to go into Lebanon, we would it would be great to disrupt all the communications right before it. Or perhaps that ability was there and there was a fear that Hezbollah had just discovered it. Like if they discovered it, you would want to activate it before they could figure out how to do a response. Those are sort of my two thoughts on. I was just trying to think about why now would you use this incredible capability?
Hezbollah already had word regarding the pagers, and when Israel became aware that Hezbollah became aware that the pagers are somehow compromised, they set them off immediately, preemptively or whatever. They set them off very effectively. There's another piece, Seth, that I will talk about part of it. Bibi is trying to reshape his government, and he wants a free rein to act with violence before the new government settles. I also think that he's willing to poke the bear now, because we'll get to what's going on, but there's a lot of movement, a lot of shifting in the Bibi government, and he wants to hold control until 2026. That's when the next scheduled elections are. So I think that these brilliant acts were meant to stir up violence, allowing Israel a violent response before the new government comes in and has a different attitude about dealing with Hamas and Hezbollah. My feeling that the timing of the elections and the pressure on elections and the American elections, which will have a huge impact on Bibi's freedom. So anyhow, I think here we are. Where are we? Is this September? This is near the end of September, right?
Mhm.
November is tomorrow. If Kamala comes in as president, not a guarantee. If it happens, Bibi is going to have more pressure than he ever had before.
That's what I was saying.
And he might be thinking, I'm going to get my shots in now before I have trouble with the lady president. If Trump wins, it won't have been necessary. But anyhow, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I see Herb or Sylvia, either one. Herb.
This is also a poke in the eye to the United States. The United States, Biden sent representatives there telling them to help calm things down. And they do the opposite. Another time of conflict, I think, between the United States and Israel.
You know, this whole thing is so screwed up. We had a major announcement from the Harris camp that they agree with the embargo that Biden put on against shipping 2,000-pound bombs to Israel. And they just, this last week, they made a big deal about that. Can I tell you a secret? Given what Israel has achieved against the tunnels in Gaza, they don't need those bombs now. And so she's going to continue blockading them. Boy, that's a good idea. Yay. But it has, as far as I'm concerned, no practical impact. Hey, it's Wednesday. I'm cynical. Okay, I'll accept that. Steve, last
I was
comment.
just going to say her position has great political impact because it looks like she's listening to the far left and doing something that's on its face against Israel and yet has no real detrimental impact. And she can continue to support Israel while looking like she's also looking out for the Islamic community.
Let's ban 2,000-pound bombs. Yay, we're doing something against Israel. Except the people who know what's going on, it's meaningless. But that's fine. You're right. You're right. Oh, I would love to be president of something right now. Just to be able to pull off things like that. That'd be fun. Now, next thing as we move forward, I said about government changes. The defense minister of Israel, Gallant, is still in position and has been notified that the guillotine just arrived in his backyard. Okay? They're going to get rid of him very quickly. Bibi does not like him. Gallant publicly criticized Bibi's plan to have court reform. And, that was the issue that preceded all of this. And that was what they were first marching in the streets Saturday night in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and whatever, because of court reform, which was going to eviscerate. The court reform bill that they're trying to get passed is very much like the Project 2025 document. It sets it up so that Bibi will control every arm of government. It is a horrible thing for democracy. Gallant, defense minister, that's like number 2 or 3 in the government, opposed it. And as a good politician, Bibi has neither forgotten nor forgiven. So Gallant is cleaning his neck for the guillotine. Gallant also opposes bills to incorporate Haredi men into the IDF. He opposes. So he's a very strong political figure with mixed positions. And the only strange thing, if you think about it, Israel is in the middle of a 1, 2, 3 front war. What a great time to replace the defense minister. Harvey shaking his head. No, it isn't.
No, it's not.
No, it isn't. It isn't a great time. Napoleon had a thing about that too. You don't change horses in midstream. That's a Napoleon thing. Don't, in the middle of a war, folks, don't change your military governing structure. And Bibi is doing that. Now, what's happening? I told our group 2 years ago that Ben-Gvir is a terrible person. Watch out for him and his comrade. And it turned out Smotrich. I'm totally right. Okay. So now we're getting new predictions. Here's this. Gideon Sar, S-A-apostrophe-A-R, Sar, is the likely person to replace Gallant. Ben-Gvir, who has a lot of power in the current right-wing government, strongly opposes this selection of Sar. Sar is also a war hawk. If Sar gets in, the likelihood of Israel choosing fighting over compromise to relieve the captives would be strongly increased. But Sar, I'm sorry to get this is complicated, okay? But this is what's going to be happening in the next several weeks or days. They haven't given me the exact time. Sar has a problem. Her name is Sarah Netanyahu. She doesn't like him. And she has told what's her name, her husband, not to do this. And she didn't do it privately. She did it publicly.
Publicly.
Sar, therefore, wants to use strong military pressure instead of making a deal for the hostages. What a terrible move at this point that would be. But the government is shifting. Listen to what Bibi said. This is the move that will give us survival until 2026. In other words, he figures that with this move, his government can be stable until the next time an election is called, 2026. Bibi now says, I have known SAR for 25 years, for better or worse. I know it's dangerous, but I know how to deal with him and it'll be fine. SAR, please, Seth, don't laugh. I'm just relating the truth of the situation. It is worse than a two-penny soap opera. It is that, right? SAR bitterly opposed Netanyahu. And Netanyahu is all about to raise SAR to the position of number 2 or 3 in the government, in the security cabinet, to fight with whatever proposals Bibi brings forward. Anyone want to take a Rolade or something for stomach control? We thought it couldn't get worse. Bibi is trying to hold on to that government, and he will sell anything to keep his group. SAR brings 4 votes into the coalition, enough to stabilize it. If SAR joins, the coalition is there. Stop talking about getting rid of Netanyahu. It won't happen. So, like Trump in our country, Bibi is a survivor. He knows how to play the game. And the only game he's really interested in is his survival. That's our cynical view of current political things. Any question now about the calm, relaxed nature of Israeli politics? Anything? The timing is so amazing. Please, Joanne.
Yeah, is there any other way to get rid of Netanyahu, to get him out of power?
This is being recorded. I am not allowed to state what another method might be. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
I meant politically.
Oh, you really narrowed the.
We love you.
Joanne, I don't think so.
No.
I actually don't think so. If Bibi can bring, the coalition is at this point hanging on by 1 vote or something. If Bibi can bring 4 solid votes, here we are, this is 24, right? If he can hold them together for a year and a half, he will complete his term. And he will do whatever damage he's continuing to do. The Israeli population will not tolerate a choice of force over freeing the captives.
Right on.
PB doesn't care. Doesn't care. If bringing SAR in locks the door, that's good. Okay, I see Howard. Howard?
I'm actually puzzled about Bibi. I've certainly been following him for years and years, and I know that a lot of people hate him. They hate Thomas Friedman hates him. Dennis Ross and all of the peace processor people hate him. And but what is it exactly that what is the case against Netanyahu? I mean, you can speculate that he's trying to keep out of prison by maintaining power. That's a speculation, but it seems like I don't know exactly what he's doing wrong. Is he supposed to withdraw from Gaza? Is that what everyone wants? Or what is the case against Netanyahu? Is the case that he won't give up?
Does anyone want to jump in? Steve, let's make it brief comments.
Okay.
Steve?
I think Gaza's just the new tip of the iceberg. The governmental changes with the judiciary, the power he wanted to, and the way he shifted right just for his own power, all contributed to why people can't stand him.
Yes. I'm teaching a class right now. Hold on.
Who is it?
Call from Israel. I don't know what these people want. Maybe they're going to correct what I just. That's spooky. Okay.
You're okay, Stanley. I got your back.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Howard, you were saying properly. What's the case?
I know that there's a lot of political opposition, people who ran against Netanyahu don't like him because he won. But all of the idea, the judicial reform people that were so upset about what Netanyahu was doing don't like him. But is that why I'm not supposed to like him? I mean, it seems to me he's doing the right thing.
Okay, the question, and I'm absolutely interested in your responses. Howard is correct. In this group and in many places, there is a knee-jerk reaction, and I'm part of it, against Bibi. And Howard is saying, what's the case? What are you doing it for? Does anyone want to offer a rationale, something like that? Steve, briefly?
Well, I'll repeat what I said because I didn't initially hate him, and I'm not saying he does everything wrong, but you can't ruin a democracy with what he wanted to do with the judiciary. You can't ruin all peace prospects by encouraging a lot of what's been happening with the settlers, and you can't. And he changes his position, which suggests, of course, that it's not all principle when the change does nothing except solidify his political position as he moves further to the right.
Okay, great. Thank you. Coherent, cogent. Anyone else? Harv?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons you should add to it is since October 7th, there have been a lot of casualties on the Palestinian side, which has given them some kind of rural favoritism, you might call it. And the Israelis still haven't gotten the hostages out. So the bottom line is he has not been successful in Gaza. The strength of Israel was their defense against attacks from Gaza. That happened on October 7th. He is responsible. He is the head of the government. And he has done nothing that has shown that he is a leader that the Israelis can trust for their security, period. That's my position.
Thank you. Good. Anyone else with a solid position on this? Donna?
I agree with that. I just sent you a message. A righteous leader would want to free the hostages and make sure that everything's okay. This is so evil. He's like in love with himself and power like Trump. That's all I got to say.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who has a thought? I want to put this in. Howard, right on, Risa, is 3 o'clock still happening? Risa, can you hear me? Risa, where are you? Okay, I cannot connect with her. She's there. we were supposed to, I don't know, have a long meeting this afternoon. She's flying in from Israel. The person who runs the Religious Action Center, the Israel Religious Action Center.
We're having it at 6 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. That's what just happened. That was Orly.
Okay, then that's dinner.
No, she doesn't want dinner. She wants the meeting at 6 o'clock here.
Okay, my life is not my own.
No, but we have the meeting.
Okay, so I will report on what the social action, there are so many questions I want to ask. Bibi is trampling on civil rights, on human rights. Worse, Bibi is trampling on religious rights. With the deals that Bibi is making, orthodoxy is increasingly entrenched in power and coercive control in Israel. That's a big deal for me. Okay, Howard, that really is someone who is fighting against my movement, our movement, Progressive Judaism, fighting against religious freedom, fighting against equality for women, fighting against getting the Orthodox integrated into society. That guy I can oppose. That's me.
I don't think that explains the vehemence. I mean, those are things that you would argue about, but they don't explain to me the intense hatred for Bibi and just what yes, in order to do what no one else was able to do, which was to create a somewhat stable coalition. He brought in the right wing more than it's ever happened before, but I don't see that as original sin or as dispositive.
I like the word dispositive.
The main thing that I like about what he's doing is he seems to be pursuing a policy of victory.
I'm sorry, you like what?
He seems to be pursuing a policy of victory, which would be a revolution in the history of Israel since 1968. That they're going for victory against the Arab rejectionists.
Okay, I mean, that, Howard, is a worthy topic for extended conversation. I'm going to leave it here unless someone in the group, Herb or Sylvia, wants to say something.
I think that the so-called stability of his government is at the expense of the rights of too many Israelis and at the expense of the death of thousands and thousands and thousands of Palestinians. October 7th happened because he wasn't paying proper attention. What's happened since then is not stability, it is mass destruction. And the only reason he's getting away with it is because his crazy right-wing folks keep him in power. And I think it's time that there is a change of power and that there is some recognition of the fact that whatever you think about them, the Palestinians are still human beings. And you don't destroy them simply for the joy and happiness of destroying them. And I think until that recognition happens, Israel is on its way, I am afraid, to total irrelevance in the world.
Do you know why I enjoy these classes with this particular group of people? You say intelligent things, and that's nice. Agree or disagree, Howard's question is deep and important. And you know, Sylvia made a response. Nothing ad hominem. We didn't say, Howard, you know, you whatever. She dealt with the facts. I'd like to point out that since the start of the Gaza incursion by Israel, the numbers were released this morning. 1 million people have died. Okay? Now that means Israeli soldiers, it means the settlers, it means, you know, the kibbutznikim, it means the people in the towns that were bombed, whatever. It's like that's their guesstimate as to how much this war has cost in human terms. Okay?
So sad.
That's a daunting number. Definitely a daunting number.
I mean,
Okay.
just
Uh,
can I
so
say, yeah, just
I'd like to ask Susie, where do you stand on the topic we've been discussing for 15 minutes? Susie, where are you? Susie? Susie, are you there?
I don't think she's, I would talk to her earlier today, Rabbi. I don't think she's online right now.
Well, anyway. Okay. So we're ready to go on to the next topic. Good news. Hey, Susie,
Yes.
I was trying to ask what you think about the topic we've been discussing the past 15 minutes.
I was out walking my dog.
I know. And
Aw.
Don't embarrass me. I lost track of time.
yeah,
Aw.
that's what terrible teachers do.
I'm
You know?
sorry, everyone. I'm telling the truth. I didn't make up a big excuse.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, everybody. I love you all. Sorry I'm
Okay.
late.
So your honesty is a beacon for Rosh Hashanah. That's very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you just have your hair done?
No,
It looks good. You're doing well. Okay.
because I'm on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. Now, our next topic is anti-Semitism on U.S. campuses. Jewish student assaulted at the University of Michigan. First, he was asked if he was Jewish, and then they beat the crap out of him. The president of the University of Michigan stated that the safety of our campus community is our highest priority, and we are firmly against anti-Semitism. The University of Washington Board of Regents was disrupted by anti-Israel protesters. They broke into the Board of Regents, that's kind of like holy territory, and disrupted so much that they had to adjourn. Jewish speakers at that point were discussing their lived experiences with anti-Semitism on the campus. They were repeatedly heckled, and it took the police to bring the Board of Regents out of the room safely. The way they got them out was to bring in the police. The board condemned the disruption, stated that they prevented free dialogue. And Stanley would say, what the hell happened or is happening? We're going to get to this now, and this is a topic we may come back to again. Have you heard the phrase institutional neutrality? Have you heard this? This is the new key buzzword for dealing with protests on campus. Institutional neutrality. When universities issued statements about the October 7th attacks and the war in Gaza, there was intense blowback. Donor revolts. High-profile leaders resigning. Once the universities decided to say something about the war, they were attacked as being either wrong-headed or insufficient. Thus, the call for institutional neutrality. What does that mean? The practice of issuing statements that support some members of our community while disregarding others intentionally or otherwise must be stopped. That was done by the president of Williams College, who wrote a letter to campus explaining her decision to remain neutral after October 7th, decision that she has now codified into college policy. Universities around the country are considering the only safe haven against the protests is to no longer issue statements on behalf of the university in response to situations of difficulty. Steve.
Well, some are saying neutrality and some are saying we're not going to comment on events equally, neutrally, or at all. And I actually believe that these are the types of institutions that have a moral obligation to actually speak out about what's right. And they're just running away from that issue, in my opinion, is wrong. Everything is not equal, and I'm equally upset with the Democrats in the House of Representatives who insist on turning the hearings on anti-Semitism into hearings on hate against everybody, including Muslims and Islam. And somewhere along the line, there are things that are more right than others and are not just opinion. And I think important institutions and people need to speak out. And hopefully, if given their position, that will carry some weight and we will be away from a universe of alternative facts.
Wow. Okay. Susie.
My opinion is protests should not be allowed on the campuses because it's a place of learning. When I went to UCLA or anybody else right now is going to any university, you're going to get an education. You're going to take classes. You're going to take notes. You're going to learn something. I think something should be created, some rule, some new law that says protests aren't appropriate on campuses. It's a place of learning. And you know, we've blown it. People have blown it. They're not peaceful protests. That's my opinion.
I agree with Susie.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for a few more responses. They are, this is the direction in which universities are tending to go as a protection against all of the protesters, the riots, the
Exactly. Exactly. Families invest so much money and students invest so much money in their education that it's ridiculous that it should be wasted with fear and protests and dirt on the campus and garbage and this and that and the neighbors that live nearby. It's too much.
Well,
I hear you, Joanne.
Yeah, my response is a little more practical also. My parents put me through college. It was very difficult for them. So if I had to deal with not being able to go to school, not being able to go to classes, it's just not right. I mean, it's just, my parents paid that money. It was very hard for them. And I should be able to get an education for that.
There are plenty of places where people can demonstrate and protest. It doesn't have to be on the campus. Let them go to the beach.
That's great. They get a sunburn. Ray.
Thank you. I'm going to say two observations which almost directly contradict each other because I don't have a solution to this. Susie, I'm extraordinarily fond of you, and I completely disagree. I think
I'm not fond of you anymore.
you can't stop me. I'm even more fond of you for saying that. So I strenuously disagree with anything that would tell students at this urgent moment of their becoming conscious people, learned people, people who learn how to learn, people who learn how to engage on principle with evidence and observation and their role in socio-political society. I am strenuously opposed to anything that would suggest, no, they're not qualified to do that. They may not have free speech to do that. They're not the grown-ups. The professors and administrators are the grown-ups. They have the right to say what is permissible speech, and the people who are learning how to master speech and life are not permitted yet to be allowed to choose their words. That's going to be at some future post-college undisclosed time. No, I reject that categorically. I believe firmly that ideas and arguing with qualification for principles is exactly what college is about. That said, we have now seen that when there is terror or at least unwillingness on the part of many colleges to find and impose reasonable controls and limitations about how that speech may be expressed and what indeed constitutes speech. I'm pretty sure it does not include asking students if they're Jewish and then committing acts of harassment and violence. But the universities are obliged, and I don't know how to tell them how to do this, they are obliged to know, own, understand, communicate, and enforce absolutely reasonable limits on when free speech and exchange of ideas trespasses onto the rights of students who, yes, are there to learn and there to exist in reasonable safety, but also there to engage with each other even when their ideas do not immediately align. I don't have a solution, but I don't agree with yours, Susie. Thank you for your ears.
Rabbi, I have my hand up.
Okay, Ray, we're gonna put gloves on the two of you and see how that works out. Okay.
He's very tall.
I know that. We'll get you a stool, I promise.
Oh, that's good. Good. That's good.
Rabbi, I was going, I have my hand up. May I speak?
Gotta take care. No, not now.
I love you. You're a riot.
Herb or Sylvia?
I think part of the process, and I agree with Ray, part of the process of going to college and getting an education is learning how to think and how to reason and how to decide what's right, not only for yourself, but even if you have no power to do anything, what's right for the world around you. I think that students should be allowed to make their views known. I think they should not be allowed to beat up on other students or trespass on the rights of others. But that's true for society as a whole. I don't think that any of us has the right to get in the way of other people doing whatever it is they want to do or need to do, unless it's blowing up pagers in Lebanon. I think there needs to be rules of engagement and they should be enforced. But I don't think banning demonstrations or the administration of the school refusing to take positions on what's right or wrong, I think that sends the wrong message. When I was in college, I expected the administration of my school to lead me on a path that would make me a responsible citizen. And that means I need to know points of view. I need to know what's right. I need to know what's wrong. I don't have to accept what they say all the time, but I think that the administration should say something. And I think they should have rules and enforce those rules. And what happened at UCLA was a violation of the rules, for example. And certainly the pro-Israeli students beating up on the pro-Palestinian students was horrible. Should never, ever have been allowed to happen.
I think that one of the things, by the way, that we're dealing with, Sylvia, is a kind of universal unwillingness to apply consequences to behavior.
Okay, yes.
And I've seen that a lot connecting consequences and behavior kind of important when raising children and kind of important when dealing with foreign nations. There are consequences for the choices you make. When I heard that most, I don't know, maybe most, maybe all, I don't know, most of the students who were arrested for the spring protests were released, period. Nothing on the record, nothing. They're gone. They're clean. It's as if lo haya v'lo nivra. It never happened, and go on with your life. I
And then when they,
really didn't like that.
and then later on, when they do something they shouldn't do, they're going to say, well, I've never been punished before. Why am I being punished now? I mean, that's not accepting responsibilities of being an adult. And they need to learn that somewhere along the line.
When I was arrested protesting in front of the Soviet consulate in New York City, I was arrested because I was breaking the law. They arrested me. That's appropriate. Okay? And the fact that I used my title to get out of any punishment, it's a separate issue. But of course I was wrong. Of course they should arrest me. And now there is little connection. And I think that's a horrible, horrible weakness. I've seen, I'm a very codger old person. I've seen kids, 4 years old, wailing against their parents, smacking, banging. And the parents are sweet talking. And, you can get through this, baby. Just put the knife down. No. Okay. I do feel very strongly about connecting acts and consequences. I do that. We are really at the point where we have to stop. But this issue, see, I want to get into as well. Does the university have community standing such that it is privileged to issue public statements on political behavior? And that's a question without my answer. In other words, if the hospital suddenly issued a political statement, you'd say, what? Come on, that's not the way it goes. What about universities? Is that appropriate? Should universities feel free to engage in such public discourse? And believe me, I look forward to your responses because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Thank you for not killing anyone today. I think that was very nice. And God willing, we'll be back in 2 weeks. And Howard, keep on asking those questions. Keep on. I am touched by the question of why the automatic hatred of Bibi. What does it mean? And Osolito, welcome, and I hope you join us more and participate and share your thoughts. Okay?
Rabbi,
Thank you, Rabbi.
It's
You're
Rosh
welcome.
Hashanah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Love you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Stay safe.
But
I still like you, Ray.
Thank you. I still
love
like
you,
you
Susie.
too, Susie. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, have a good day.
We'll
See ya.
agree
Susie
about
gets the
plenty, I'm
last
sure.
word.
Shalom Aleichem. Have a fabulous day, Susie. It was nice talking to you. I'll talk to you later.
you.
Bye, Lisa. Have a nice dinner tonight. Everybody, I'll be praying. We'll be okay. Later.